It's like she exists in a heightened world that the rest of us don't live in. She has a different set of rules. She has her own world that she's created.
I have some pretty persuasive ways of getting what I want.
These how many people believe or side with you.
I like it when your character kind of looks like one thing and is the total opposite on the inside. There's something about that I relate to.
Mr. Depp is your victim, isn't he?
No, ma'am.
Regardless of the outcome of the ongoing trial, Amber Heard lost this case in the eyes of the public a long time ago.
To use what I've lived through and calling it fake, saying that I'm harming Johnny with this, I'm harming the public with this.
And I feel like it's not just about the evidence. It's that there's something about Amber Heard that just feels so fake. So today we're discussing the concept of inauthenticity and fakeness, and how Amber Heard triggers these feelings in so many people. Amber Heard absolutely loves the spotlight. She milks the red carpet harder than any celebrity I've ever seen. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But to many people, there's something that feels disingenuous about attention-seeking behavior. One of the first things people noticed about Amber's testimony was that she seemed to be constantly looking to the jury for validation.
It's Amber Laura Heard.
And what is your address?
How could this happen to me again? I don't know. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Authenticity is the alignment of who we are and how we act. It's the sense that one's life, both public and private, reflects one's real self. And the stakes are high. Studies show that if we suspect inauthenticity, we treat it as a violation of being true, a moral transgression like lying or cheating. But before we get into it, a message from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Babbel. Vacation season is here, my friends. I feel like you can't go to a new country without learning at least a few phrases of the language. That's where Babbel comes in. Whether you're traveling for business or for pleasure, Babbel teaches you real-world practical conversations that will help you during your travels. I've always wanted to learn French, like really learn French. Last time I went to France, let's just say the locals were not impressed with my French. As a Canadian, we actually learned French in school, but those days are long forgotten for me. Within just a few days of using Babbel though, I've brushed up all I forgot from school. Maybe not all, but a lot. And I'm already learning more advanced vocabulary and grammar. For example, I'm learning words like
du lait,
du lait,
de la confiture,
de la confiture,
du beurre.
Du beurre. Soon, I'll be ordering my croissant like a local. With Babbel, you learn with short 10-minute interactive lessons, proven to get you speaking a different language in just 3 weeks. Their lessons are also designed by real language teachers, so there's no AI or robots here. Babbel's speech recognition helps you improve your pronunciation and accent, something I clearly need help with. Whatever your reason for wanting to learn a new language, give Babbel a try. Click the link in the description box and get 65% off your Babbel subscription. And back to the video.
My heroes are people who have made and changed the world by not behaving.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amber Heard.
I've watched probably every single Amber Heard interview at this point, and she is a completely different person in almost every single one. To the point that it feels like she's playing a character all of the time. Here she is in 2012, around the time she would have started dating Johnny. She has this sweet, ultra feminine voice and like Miss America personality.
And there's a scene that you share with Johnny Depp, which is, you know, sort of the sex scene. But what was it like for you filming that?
It's incredible. I mean, it's a wonderful part of our movie.
Johnny is a wonderful person to work with. He's just a true artist and is so wonderful to be around, and I'm very lucky.
He's a wonderful, wonderful human being and a brilliant artist who I respect tremendously. Wonderful, talented, celebrated, acclaimed.
But if we rewind a little bit to 2008, she is a shockingly different person, including a completely different voice and very aggressive mannerisms.
Hold on one second.
No problem.
Courtney, I can't do this if people are coming in and out of the door. It's really distracting.
Extremely. You did a really good job in this film, and I wanted to ask you...
Amber Heard, star of Never Back Down.
Now here she is again in the same year. I don't know if she's like trying to get a good picture here, but it feels like I'm watching America's Next Top Model with the poses.
Have you ever had a guys fight over you in real life?
Never, actually. Maybe it's my secret.
What just happened?
Never, actually. Maybe it's my secret.
Whatever is going on here, it does not feel natural. I don't know if she wants to seem funnier or more mysterious or something, and I understand that trying to be more marketable is definitely part of her job. It just feels fake. It feels like impression management. Impression management is the strategic presentation of self done to invoke a desired response from others. It's putting on a facade or mask that you think will make people like you more. And impression management is the essence of fakeness. In court, we see Amber Heard engaging in quite a bit of impression management. People complain that she seems to be wearing a mask to better sell herself to the audience. The way that she answers questions involves trying to influence your perception of her.
I remember taking a bunch of sleeping pills. Not a bunch, like 2, which is a lot for me.
Another issue on the stand is that Amber Heard rarely owns up to unflattering moments.
You told Mr. Depp to suck your dick multiple times, didn't you?
I was expressing frustration about his criticism of my career and how many problems that caused within the dynamic of our relationship, yes.
Her words would just feel so much more genuine if she would just at some point say, like, look, I can be a crazy bitch sometimes, but she doesn't do that. She always acts as if her behavior was always merely in defense.
You decided to take a picture of Mr. Depp asleep with ice cream spilled all over him, right?
Yes, I think it's a part of getting help.
But you sent this picture to one of your friends, didn't you?
I don't recall.
And this is you protecting Mr. Depp.
Audio recordings show a very different side of her, a side of her that she hasn't admitted to whatsoever on the stand.
You've got everybody out here almost full, but it don't last long.
You're right.
I've been sorry. Here a lot longer.
You're right. You got it figured out.
You don't have.
You're a joke.
You're a fucking lying. You're the most spoiled.
If we detect that someone is highlighting their positive qualities and trying to diminish their more negative qualities, we perceive this as deception. Even Amber's outfits, clearly meant to suggest honesty and respectability, scream fake. Yes, she needs to dress a certain way for court, but there's no semblance of her real self there. From her hair to her clothes, it feels like a costume, and that is perceived as an intent to deceive. Unfortunately for Amber though, even Johnny's outfits feel really authentic. He's polished for sure, but he still looks like himself, including rings and sunglasses on stand. Even though these things could be interpreted in a negative light, he chooses to remain true to himself even under pressure. The essence of authenticity. Johnny also often answers questions directly without a narrative, something that people really, really like.
Paul Bettany's a good friend that you've done drugs with, right?
That's a strange question. Yes, I have.
Cocaine, right?
Cocaine, yes.
Alcohol?
Alcohol, yes.
Pills, including Xanax and Adderall, right?
That I'm not so sure of.
It gives the impression that he prefers to let the truth speak for itself, and he's had to admit to and take responsibility for very embarrassing and risky things in front of the world.
When I was 11 years old, I'd bring my mom her nerve pill, walk away, and I would take one myself to escape caring so much, feeling so much.
And people react to this type of vulnerability very, very positively. I was never a Johnny Depp fan, thought he was pretentious and fake. Now I love the way he talks, and I admire this man's strength and honesty. Now after learning more about Johnny Depp, I'd do anything for him. Not to mention, Johnny has presented the same mannerisms going back 20 years now in interviews. Johnny demonstrates a consistency of personality, which is a hallmark of authenticity. He comes across as someone who is merely being himself, which is another way of communicating the quality of honesty.
Do you like your ass?
Wow. Like it?
Mm-hmm.
I accept it.
Okay.
Truly authentic people don't wear different faces for the different people in their lives. They remain true to themselves even under social pressure. In addition to deception, another red flag for fakeness is the presence of ulterior motives.
You've given incredible donations to Children's Hospital Los Angeles and ACLU. Have you always felt passionate about that?
I guess I've always really loved it, especially children who deserve it the most.
That statement wasn't true.
It is true. I pledged the entirety to charity.
But you didn't donate it.
Unfortunately,
You didn't donate it. It's a yes or no.
I haven't been able to fulfill those
So that's a no, right,
obligations.
Ms. Heard?
We're biased towards suspicion when we suspect that someone may have something to gain and are more likely to judge their behavior as inauthentic. Several years ago, Amber Heard visited Syrian refugees, and it was viewed as a overall very positive thing. However, now with new information about her behavior, the authenticity of all of her previous actions are now up for debate. Now, this does not mean that she is being fake here or she does have ulterior motives with this trip, but that's now how we're biased toward judging her with all the information that's now come out. And this fake feeling that we get from her is compounded by the fact that she lacks an equality that psychologists describe as realness. Listen to how Amber describes her trip to visit the refugee camp.
My biggest takeaway from this trip is the indelible mark left on my soul after spending a week on the grounds here, seeing from the operating room to the Docherty, the refugee camp, to the rehabilitation centers with whom SAMS is partnering in official and non-official ways in order to procure for its beneficiaries the most holistic, well-rounded, and thorough rehabilitation and medical assistance possible.
What left an indelible mark on your soul is the holistic and well-rounded rehabilitation? Would you know that she was talking about a refugee camp if you didn't know that she was talking about a refugee camp? No, and that is because this statement is devoid of true emotion. It comes across as clinical and alien because there's no human emotion being conveyed there.
We call this impressionistic speech. So it tends to be very flowery. It uses a lot of descriptive words like magical, wonderful.
Wonderful, talented, celebrated, acclaimed.
And it can go on for quite some time, and yet it really lacks any substance. So at the end, you're left wondering what was just said.
A major component of our experience of authenticity is emotional honesty, feeling and sharing genuine emotions, or what's also called realness. According to psychologists, being real is when how you behave on the outside matches how you feel on the inside. In contrast, being fake is when you hide or conceal aspects of your inner experience. In court, people are watching the faces of Amber and Johnny looking for realness, appropriate levels of emotion displayed at the right times.
He's guilty. He knows he's lying. Otherwise, why can't he look at me? I survived. I survived that man, and I'm here, and I'm able to look at him. Thank you.
Johnny has been winning over the audience by being extremely real. He laughs, smirks, and reacts in real time to the trial, sometimes displaying emotions that we feel we personally might express if faced with this situation.
A mega pint.
He's clearly comfortable expressing genuine emotions, making him feel very relatable and, of course, authentic. Amber, however, has been accused of exaggerating her emotions at times. Every face is overly expressive, like an actor on stage.
My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet.
Giving the feeling of being really contrived, planned, and, of course, fake. At other times, she either does not have or conceals emotions that we might expect her to have. When we detect a mismatch between what someone claims to be and what they really are, we judge them as inauthentic.
When anyone's human rights are denied, everyone's human rights are undermined. I will uphold your rights, even when I disagree with you.
And studies show that when we detect this mismatch, it provokes moral outrage.
So you testified that you reviewed a number of hashtags that you deemed were negative towards Ms. Heard. We just don't like you, Amber. That's one of them?
That is one of them.
And the last one was Amber Turd, right?
That is another one.
We loathe inauthenticity, and we feel emotions such as outrage, scorn, and contempt for this so-called fake person. Now, interestingly, all of this doesn't actually mean that Amber Heard is lying or being fake intentionally. She could just be an inauthentic person, someone who is either not in touch with their true self or is unable to express their true self for whatever reason. But if she is telling the truth, it's unfortunate for her because either way, we perceive this as an intent to deceive us. Make sure to go check out my most recent video on Amy's ego. She is, quote, the Amber Heard we have at home.